Good evening and welcome to your city council meeting. All those who are happy say yay. Yay. Anybody unhappy? No. Okay. Nay. Today is Tuesday, July 7th, 2015, and it's 7 p.m. Regular meetings are held on the first and third Tuesday of each month at 7 p.m. in the council chambers of City Hall. Madam Clerk, will you call the roll?
Thank you, Mayor. Councilmember Minigar.
Present.
Councilmember Susowitz.
Here.
Councilmember Genoway.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Davies.
Here.
And Mayor McCloskey.
Here.
All present. We have quorum.
Thank you. We will now have the invocation, and I would like to ask Pastor Derek Zollner of South Shores Baptist Church to come forward for the invocation. Please. Thank you.
Thank you. Let us pray. Dear Lord, we thank you for this city. We thank you for the way that you have preserved and protected it for so many years, and we continue to ask for your hand of blessing upon it. We thank you for the proceedings and the rule of law that you oversee in this city and across our nation. May you continue to guide our nation. May you continue to raise up a new generation that will honor you and honor the value of people around them. We ask this in your name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor. Okay, now it's time for Girl Scout Troop 2963 to come forward and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Audience attention. Color guard advance. Color guard present the colors. With the Honorable Mayor, City Council members in audience, please join in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
And to the republic
for which stands
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, girls. Don't go away.
May be seated.
Girls, that was wonderful, and I'd like each one of you to tell us your name and where do you go to school, and pass the microphone down the line.
I am Sophia Phillips from Malcolm.
I'm Amy Connor from Palisades.
I'm Grace Leonard from Malcolm Elementary School.
I'm Jordan Davis from Malcolm.
I'm Elizabeth Wilkinson from Malcolm.
I'm Sophie Reed from Malcolm.
I'm Savannah Sharp from Malcolm.
Thank you, girls. You did a wonderful job. Let's give them a hand. We will now move on to our presentations. Tonight, we have a presentation from the Orange County Fire Authority of a life-saving award for Mr. Paul Obel for his heroic efforts demonstrated on March 27th. At this time, I would like to have our Fire Chief, Brian Bryce, and Mr. Paul Obel come forward for the presentation.
Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
Along with Mr. Obel, I'd like to bring up Benjamin Islas, if he'd come forward. So I'll give a quick recap for everyone about why we're here tonight. On March 27th, Mr. Obel came home. He pulled into his garage apartment there, and as you would imagine, as you've just driven from, let's say, an hour and 15 or so minutes away in the city of Marietta, you're a little tired, you're a little fatigued, and you get out of your car and you hear this sound coming from a neighbor's garage, and it's the screams of someone needing help. Or you may perceive it's someone needing help. You're not quite sure. But Mr. Obel quickly went into action, went to his neighbor's yard, and found Mr. Benjamin Isla underneath his car. He was working on it, and the jack had given way and fallen and landed on his chest and stomach with just his legs protruding from the car. Thinking very quickly and realizing that time is of the essence, he quickly retrieved the scissors jack, put it back underneath the car, and removed it from his body. And what I can tell you, having been a paramedic for 26 years now, had he not done that in that quick time frame, severe damage would have occurred to Mr. Benjamin Islas. He could have died, serious injury. So it's his quick action that brings us here this evening. It's real easy to hear something going on and just kind of ignore it and go in our homes. But that's not what he did. He went into action, and that's what we ask of our community. He sets that example. So I'm very proud on behalf of the Fire Chief of Orange County Fire Authority, our Board Chair, Al Murray, to present you with this life-saving award. And I know he has a few words he'd like to say, and then I know the city has also a presentation to give to him as well. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. And then we'll get some pictures afterwards. Thank you so much. Just less than 1 minute. I want to respect your time and thank you for doing
I'll give
this.
you 2.
Okay. The phenomenal thing about this whole thing is when we were in Marietta, my wife and I made 3 different decisions to get us at our home at the right time. Had we made any of those decisions the opposite of what they were made, we would not have heard. So if we had been home 5 minutes earlier, we would not have heard what was going on. 5 minutes later, we would have been in our home. So we are appreciative that God manipulated the decisions and the time to have us right there at the exact moment. And for that, we're thankful.
Thank you. Please come forward.
Bring his wife Priscilla up as well.
You come up too, Brian. Yeah. Well, on Mr. Obel, on behalf of the City of Laguna, Niguel, we wish to thank you and extend our gratitude for your heroic efforts and proudly present you with this life-saving award for going above and beyond the call of duty. Thank you. And I am convinced that the good Lord was with you. Thank you, and with you. Thank you. Good luck to you. Okay, I guess we get to go back. Okay, as soon as we get organized, we're going to go on to public communications. Come on, Lori, hurry it up. Any person wishing to address the city council on any matter, whether or not appears on the agenda, is required to submit a completed gold-colored request to speak form to the city clerk prior to being heard by the city council. Each person will be given 3 minutes to speak. And are there any requests to speak under public communications other than the one I already have? Okay. This is a general, I'd like to call up Cheryl Alpert for public communications.
Happy 4th. Thank you, Mayor McCloskey and fellow council members. On June 2nd, it was brought to your attention that there are some sober living and drug and rehab programs around town. I have one down the street from me, and it seems that I didn't find out what we were doing or didn't get any answers on what the city has done as far as monitoring them, but I did get some answers from the people who are running this house. They're charging these people $30,000 to $40,000 per person for residency, and it's basically a lockdown unit. So I don't think it's helping. I mean, they're not transitioning them into residential life, but they're saying that they can't use the common facilities. I mean, we obviously aren't happy with them in the neighborhood, but in the same respect, we need to think about their needs as well. And I don't think that this company or the companies that are running the other ones are doing any good. I think it's a high-priced hotel, and they're billing it to the insurance companies. And it's really sad, but I was just wondering if you could give us an update on what has happened. I mean, I'm hearing that there are no visitors to the site. Well, there are visitors to the site. There are 14 beds in this unit. There are 9 people there now. It's only supposed to be 6. I'd like to see the council maybe set up some sort of legislation like Costa Mesa did, at least to have some sort of process to give them a permit, because you don't even know who's doing this there. You don't know if they're qualified. And they're basically babysitting these people, and they're saying there's no treatment going on there. I kind of find it hard to believe. But I just wanted to get an update, and I know it's not on the agenda, but I just wondered if you could maybe place it on a future agenda so the other houses that are having the problems can get an idea of what's happening, because we're kind of moving together on this. Our attorney told us that there's nothing we can do, but I'm a steadfast believer that you can, and we are contacting our representatives and our senator and our assembly people and trying to make something heard in Sacramento to know that this isn't acceptable. It's not an acceptable situation to be put in a residential area. Thank you.
Thank you. Sheriff, I am aware that the city has been involved in this issue for some time. It's not on the agenda, but if anybody would like to just comment briefly.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to ask Dan, I can tell you as the council previously, we supported Mr. Bro's bill that would have given us more powers to regulate group homes, and due to the strength of their lobby, they were able to make that bill a 2-year bill, so it'll be something that hopefully will be heard next year. We've spoken with different groups to support Assemblymember Bro's efforts to actually help regulate these homes. There's a number of things that we have done. I mean, we've identified every group home here within the city, either a sober living home or senior assisted home. Senior assisted living tends to be the majority of those that are in the community. But staff is well aware, code enforcement is well aware of these homes. We are kind of a little limited in our actions, but Dan, coming from his planning background, would be able to add on to it, and also your city attorney is well versed in that as well. So I'll defer to those two gentlemen.
I do know that the senior living does need a license when you have seniors, but they don't. And he doesn't call it a rehab facility, they call it sober living. So you got 9 people at $40,000 a head. It's like,
Let Dan, maybe you can
okay,
help you here.
thank you.
As City Manager Foster indicated, we are aware of the facilities. We are doing what we can from a code enforcement standpoint. We have had meetings with, I know, the facility operators, Sovereign Health on Adelanto and Las Cruces. We have made complaints to Department of Social Services and State Healthcare Agency regarding their operations. I don't know specifically about what has occurred from a code enforcement standpoint on Isle Vista that Ms. Alpert is referring to, but we can certainly follow up, and certainly if we can share if information, I understand she has been in contact with our code enforcement staff, any information that we have, we can certainly share with the appropriate state authorities and licensing authorities. It is becoming fairly clear that they push the envelope as far as what they do, and so it is, I think, in our best interest to to continue to monitor them. I know the council's previously indicated that we are going to come back to you at some point in the future with some options, and I'm not sure if that'll be at your next meeting in August or when it's going to actually be calendared, but we are working on that with the city attorney.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just be assured that we're aware. I know that the staff is aware of it, and
Well, I knew you were. I was just wondering where we were with it. That's why I wanted
we're
to.
trying to do everything we can, and if Bill Bro's bills can get through it and get some other things through, we'll get there.
Okay,
wanna
thank
say
you.
something?
Yeah, sure. I have a quick question. Just with your HOA, is there something in the bylaws that says how many people can actually reside in the house?
I don't,
What we do have is that you can't run a business out of the house, and that's what they're doing. So it's very hard to prove that, because the way it's set up, the owners paid cash for the house. They were from China. They came in, they had their child, they went back to China, and then leased it, have a management company that has the company, and they leased it to the Sober Tech is the name of the company. And so they're basically running a hotel. So, and that's the only avenue we got, but our attorneys are telling us that, no, there's nothing we can do, but, I'm a firm believer, there is something we can do. So,
Thank you. Thank
we're
you for the
gonna
information.
grasp all straws here, so.
thanks, Sharon. Okay, that concludes public communications. We're going to move on to the consent calendar. Anybody wants to do anything with that?
Okay, Mayor McCloskey, I'd like to pull items 4 and 5.
4 and 5,
And for me, 4, 5, 6.
and 4, 5, and 6.
Make a motion to move the balance.
Okay,
I'll
All in-
second it.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, let's take number 4, investment report as of May 31st, 2015. You're up.
Want me to go?
Yeah.
Okay. Director of Finance, Erlinson, when we went through the financials today, and I appreciate your time on that, you always spend a lot of time with me going over it. I really appreciate that. I missed one of my yellow tabs, so I just have a question. On page 13 of the Union Bank statement, I see that we have a federal home loan obligation that matured last month, a couple of weeks ago, and the yield on it was 2.87. Has that been reinvested, and if so, what's the current yield on it? Because that was a very nice paying one.
Staff right now is currently seeking quotes from our two primary dealers, who happen to be Cantor Fitzgerald and Bank of America Merrill Lynch. As of yet, we have not reinvested those funds. Those are currently residing in LAIF, earning, the LAIF rate of interest. But we will be reinvesting that $1 million maturity probably within the next couple of days.
Okay, do you have any idea what the range is on the yield right now?
On the 5-year, which is what we would purchase, either a treasury or we're looking for a FFCB, Federal Farm Credit Bank agency. Right now, I believe it's about 1.5, if I'm not mistaken, 1.4, 1.5, depending. Agencies earn a little more than treasuries.
Right. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Fred, do you have a comment on that?
Yes, just one comment. I was at the reception a couple of weeks ago, and I saw my good friend, the Orange County Treasurer Tax Collector Sherry, and she said that she's coming to the city of Laguna, Niguel to make a presentation. Now, what I suggest is that I think that presentation ought to be made to the city council in the future rather than the investment and audit committee, because we deserve to get firsthand information from our tax collector rather than going to the, the investment and audit committee.
I will certainly defer to two members of the IBNA who are here, Mr. McCluskey and Mr. Slusowitz, but I believe the reason why it rooted to the IBNA is for discussion on the limits of the investment policy. They first provide those options and review that policy for the council, and it comes up to the council. So IBNA discussed the Orange County investment pool. When the city originally exited the Orange County investment pool, it went through IBNA, and the IBNA made the recommendation to the council as your commission that actually looks and shepherds our investments here in Laguna Niguel. So Sherry attended that meeting. There was a recommendation from IBNA to increase the limits of OSIP, and that will be brought to you at your, I believe, the next council meeting in August. And Sherry will do the same presentation that she did to IBNA, and at that point, then the council will decide if it's something you want to do.
Thank you.
Yeah, again, the volunteers of this community are just outstanding, and our investment banking audit committee is, I'd hold them up against any investment committee out there. I would say their breadth of knowledge is, as a group, is stronger than our breadth of knowledge as a council overall, in my opinion. They're really, really sharp. The reason we have all these commissions and committees is to sometimes vet things out, and that's what this was for. All along, it was decided, or it is a policy that they only make recommendations to the council, and the council has to approve them. So Ms. Friedenrich was well aware that that was a first step to make the presentation to IBNA. Let the IBNA make the decision if they wanted to proceed, and if it was worth council's time to review this, as City Manager Foster said, and they did make a recommendation out of committee, which will come back, and Ms. Friedenrich will be back. But it's sometimes good to use our talented volunteers to vet some things out, and that's what happened there. So she will be back, and IBNA can't make the decision without us, so we will make the final decision.
Okay, I move the item.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, item number 5. Elaine, you had something on that?
Yes, since it's on the agenda, this is an opportunity to have a little discussion or ask some questions of our mayor, because he's our representative on the OCFA, and you do a great job, and I know you have a depth of knowledge on this. So today, AB 1217 was put on hold. Upon the passage of this resolution that is in our agenda of, 2/3 of the OCFA's board members, do you have any feeling for the possibility of AB 1217 dying, or are we going to be looking at that again?
It's been pulled by Tom Daly, and it's a 2-year bill, so it can be resurrected, and it could come back. However, I think that the tide is running against it. I think only one city voted in favor of it, and 2 cities abstained, and everybody else, and if we follow tonight, will undoubtedly approve the JPA change, which, and maybe I'm speaking a little out of turn here, but I think this was a way of giving, a face-saving way to drop the bill by getting rid of the alternates. Now, what would have happened if the bill had passed, there would have been no alternates anyway, because they would have gone down to 13, and in the revised JPA agreement, there was no provision for alternates. So I guess what you might say, we had to do this in order to get the bill killed, at least temporarily. And this was an attempt by Sacramento to start messing around with local issues, and it was a precedent setting. If this had happened, JPAs all over the state would have been in jeopardy, in my opinion. There was no support for this from any city, active support, except Santa Ana. And actually, I heard a video, or saw a video of the mayor of Santa Ana stating that this was just a power play. He wanted to have more clout, and those little cities down in the south, they didn't count. 2 people is good for them. We would have been taken from 10 people on that board down to 2, which means that we probably wouldn't have representation on that board for years. So This is a temporary good thing that happened. City Manager Foster and I were prepared to get on a plane at 9 o'clock tonight to go to Sacramento to plead our case, and they withdrew it. And I think they withdrew it on, Daley withdrew it on the basis of he knew he had no support for this thing. It was a pure, crass political move. And I also want to acknowledge the help of Senator Bates. She really, I think when the story comes out, we're going to find out that she really was the turning point on this one. And so this was a sop to the political gods in Sacramento, and it's, as far as I'm concerned, it's the best outcome we could have gotten. We had a big discussion at this at the Fire Authority. There was a little bit of pushback from, well, what was interesting about the conversation at the Fire Authority is Santa Ana didn't show up. They weren't there. And one of the supervisors didn't show up, and our supervisor, Lisa Bartlett, was actually trying to get us to not pass this amendment. I don't know quite where she was coming from, but there was, in fact, an amendment to let the county have alternates, but it failed for lack of a second. So there's no support for this thing at all anywhere. And right now, this is the best we could have hoped for. This thing may come back. As I said, it's a 2-year bill. After January, it could come back, but I don't see the political wind going that way. So that's sort of what's going on.
Okay, well, I appreciate that explanation. I know it's something that we've been seeing a lot about, and I just want to thank you as our mayor for your representation on the board. You represent us very well, and I know it takes a lot of your time, and there's some very complex issues. So thank you.
Well, thank you. Any other comments on that one?
Just a couple of, I guess, reflections on the whole thing. Number one, I'm very disappointed with the outcome of elimination of the alternate board member at a huge agency such as Orange County Fire Authority, because if this agency would be relying upon just one member to present the city, what happens in those cases that, that member agency's representative cannot make it? Even though I'm totally in disagreement with Tom Daley with the way he orchestrated the whole thing, and as you said, is a political football in Sacramento that he wanted to basically eliminate, our representation there. So I'm happy with that outcome, but I'm extremely disappointed with the elimination of the alternate board members. And as my colleague, Councilwoman Genoway mentioned, you've done a great job, because I do get the same emails that you get as the alternate board member on OCFA. And it's a lot of reading, even though I don't attend the meetings, you do, but it's a lot of issues that off and on comes up with the OCFA, and we want to make sure that our great city has a solid, representation in the board, because Fire Authority is very crucial, is pivotal to our well-being, because public safety is job number one. So with all that said, you've done a very good job, great job, and also our Senator Pat Bates that supported, the outcome.
Well, as of right now, Fred, you still have a job.
Is there any stipulation that the representative can only be appointed once a year or at a certain time?
Well, they're appointed by the mayor.
Okay, but I mean, if, say, for example, our representative we knew wouldn't be able to go, or, was going to be ill or have surgery, can the council appoint someone else, and then that's our rep?
I don't know what the law is on that.
The council, well, yeah, as Terry said, the council would have to change their representative. So it'd have to go back onto the agenda, and the council would have to appoint a new person. I do believe that JPAs from time to time do work this way. I believe that the Orange County Vector Control Board also, in their JPA documents, Mr. Slusowitz, I guess it's a question for you. I believe there's no alternates on that, and that's by design. that they actually want specific members to be there all the time. So this is not, something that's new per se, but I think it's something that you do see these larger, more complex JPAs going to the standpoint that they want one name who's going to be there and be there all the time. So I believe that's where it came from, that there's other JPAs here in the county that have that model currently in practice.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
Okay.
I'll move the item.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, great. Number 6, approval of parcel map 2012-106. Fred, you had a comment?
I just have one question. I remember that, I recall this item vividly when it came to our planning commission back in November 2012. I was surprised that I didn't see any land use item for the church facility. Because as you know, Nasseri has two different components. One of them is the senior facility, the 200 and some units, but it goes in conjunction with the church facility.
It's my understanding the church component is still there. It's not a subdivided parcel per se. They are going to be a tenant, that they will be leasing a space from the assisted living center operator. So they're not creating a parcel specifically for the church. They're going to be operating within the building, though. So this parcel map basically takes 3 existing lot lines, creates one building pad for the entire facility, and it's still consistent with what the Planning Commission and ultimately the City Council approved on appeal, and then one lettered lot for an open space lot on the large slope area.
So it is included, they have
So-
not taken it all.
Correct.
Okay, very good, thank you.
May I make a comment? Mayor? Mayor, may I make a quick comment? Yeah, it's going to be a chapel within there. That's what they did, because the chapel will be open for the people who live there, and then on the weekends, the parishioners of Shepherd of the Hill will be able to come to that chapel, but it is not a separate building. It's all within, self-contained within there.
I make the motion to move.
Second.
Aye.
I think that finishes up our consent calendar. And now we'll have, I guess we're on to any other business. We don't have any, so we'll have some council reports. So we'll start with Ms. Genoway.
Okay, since our last meeting, myself, along with our assistant city manager, Dan Fox, our director of community development, Jeff Gibson, and our senior planner, Jonathan Orduña, met with a group of homeowners to answer some questions that they had regarding their particular neighborhood. So I appreciate staff being there and providing, a lot of depth to the answers that were given. Went to the State of City address, as we all did. Our mayor did a great job, and thank you to our communications officer, Pauline Colvin, and her video production team. Very good. And I know I've sent that link out to many people in our community who enjoyed seeing it as well. And as you all know, we had 4th of July, and that's a fantastic day in Laguna, Niguel. And I really think it's an excellent example of our community working together, because you think of that day, and first have the Run in the Parks, hosted by the YMCA, and then the Pancake Breakfast by the Chamber of Commerce, and then our city Parks and Recreation Department puts, they had the opening of the splash pad and the playground, the very first concert in the new amphitheater, which was great, and then the fireworks show, which is put on by our city, but it's over the lake at the regional park, which is owned by the county. So when everyone works together, it's a great day for everyone in the city. And I really have to thank Director of Parks and Recreation, Allison Giglio. You and your team provided a fantastic day for all the residents here. Had so many people coming up to me in the amphitheater and thanking the city for what it does, and they were having a great time. So thank you.
Very good. Mr. Minigar.
I truly enjoyed the State of the City's presentation by you. I didn't realize that you're a very good movie star. And that was pretty good. Whoever came up with the idea, I think it was a grand idea, indeed. It was well organized, it was well managed, the content was to the point, and I think it's a good marketing tool for our city for attracting newcomers. With regard to July 4th, unfortunately, I was not able to make, the party for America's birthday bash, but I happened to be in Boston. So I had a special thing at Boston Harbor and Cambridge, Massachusetts, and I flew in yesterday with my family. So I missed all the festivities and the soft opening of our, tier 1, if I get it correctly, of the park, but I heard a lot of good stuff about it, and people were telling me that, oh, this is great. So I'm very pleased to hear nothing but good news about our city. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Sluisewicz.
I'm going to chime in with my fellow council members because they deserve more praise. I think Mayor McCloskey did a phenomenal job on the state of the city. Excellent presentation, excellent work. But I think the concept and Ms. Colvin, our communication officer's direction and concept and editing with our film staff, Chris, phenomenal as well. And so I really think that this was really particularly well done. And I think you all, including the mayor, represented the city extremely well. And I just agree with Councilmember Minigar that this is a great selling piece, because that's basically what you were doing, was selling the city, and I just thought it was fantastic. Yeah, well, and you too would be involved with that.
Director,
And again,
producer.
and then best actor right here, best.
We can nominate, if I may, for the Oscars awards.
Yeah, it was just so well done. But equal to that task, I think Allison Giglio, our Parks and Rec director, and her team did a phenomenal job. A few weeks back, or several weeks back, I was speaking with John with Wallace and Associates. He's our point man on this park. And as you know, we canceled the grand opening. And when that decision was made that day, I asked him, I said, well, John, I mean, this thing doesn't look done. What are you going to have on the 4th of July? And the only thing he guaranteed was the amphitheater. He didn't guarantee the bathroom. He didn't think that would be done. He didn't guarantee the splash pad or anything else. And the fact that between their work, our contractor, and then Allison and her team, to pull this off where everything was open as a soft open, we could see in the pictures here, it wasn't just a soft open. It wasn't like 2 or 3 people coming in. There were lots of people because we had such great activities at the park. Big kudos. And again, that's the 4th of July, when everybody else wants to be with family, wants to be with friends. Here's her team working. And she was there. I saw her early in the morning, and all her staff working late into the night. And I think that they deserve huge credit and huge kudos for that. I think you did a wonderful job, and you and your staff, and to make that happen. I think the YMCA deserves a little credit as well on the run. That's a tough thing to pull off. Jennifer Heinen, we are very lucky to have her as a director. Most YMCA directors don't really last too long, 3 years, maybe 4 years. She's been here a long time, and the race was great from the beginning. And then your team, helped with that. It wasn't just the YMCA. You were there. And what a day. What a day for Laguna Niguel. I mean, it really showed well. So between the state of the city and then us, being able to pull that off, or you and your team pulling that off, I just think that we really looked good here last week. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you. Just a quick military update. Kind of quiet right now, but the next program we're going to have is our car wash for the Marines on September 19th. So that'll be over in the La Paz Shopping Center, and you'll hear more about it. Also attended both Dana Hills and Lisa Niguel graduation. Fred and I were very fast on moving across the field and getting to both locations. But it really is inspiring to see all these young grads. And I hope, especially with our development we have, that they'll actually be able to stay here and live here in their 20s and 30s and hopefully retire here. So it's good to see that's our future. Also, I'm working with the Chamber, and we are planning on, in the Economic Committee, we're planning our first Laguna Niguel October Food Fest. And we've never had anything like that. I've really been working hard over the last couple of years to acknowledge the different restaurants we have, because we have some great restaurants. People just aren't aware where they are. So it's going to be discovering the taste and the flavors of Laguna Niguel. You hear more about it, but we've got about 20 restaurants already involved, and we'll have a passport where you can go to every restaurant. They're going to have specials with lunches and dinners, and then you can turn in your passport. So whoever has the most stamps will be having donations from the restaurants, such as gift certificates and meals and things like that. So keep an eye. That's going to be for the entire month of October, and we'll update that more. I just want to piggyback all the congratulations. Great job with the state of the city, both Mayor and Pauline. It really was fantastic, and I mean, I think it was the best ever. It's something, like I said, that we can put on the website. Very entertaining but informative. Also, Allison, as an event planner, kudos to you. I know how tough it is to put on an event, and like everyone here was saying, you didn't have just one event. You had back-to-back-to-back-to-back events, and everything was flawless. I heard nothing but raves coming from people that attended all the events. And I did get a chance on Sunday to go over to the park, and I just have to tell you, I'm amazed. It's what we've been wanting. It's inviting. It's fun. I just saw kids playing in the splash ground and over on the play sets and even in the amphitheater. And it's just, I don't even know what to say. I was so proud. And I want to thank our former Mayor Lindholm, as well as Councilmember Schultz for really doing a great job, as well as with the staff, because it's nothing but the best over there. And we can be proud as a city for what we have now. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll be out in the lobby giving out autographs. I want to thank you for your comments. I didn't really think it was that great. And I tell you, we had so many takes on those things, you can't believe how hard that was to do. I can't add much to what's been said about our 4th of July festivities. It was wonderful. And it was just so neat to see the joy on everybody's face when they were out there in the amphitheater, especially during the concert. I don't know how many people were there. What, about 400 or 500? 1,500? Oh, my gosh. Oh, wow. Okay. So there was 1,500 people out there, and it was a great event, and it just exemplifies what we try to do here in Laguna Niguel, and the quality of the improvements are, to me, are just wonderful. Everything is just done so well, and I think that's really outstanding. I did attend one interesting thing just recently. I represented the city at the annual Iftar dinner program at a mosque in Mission Viejo, and it was a very moving experience. Actually, it was the Iftar dinner is the breaking of the Ramadan fast, and it's done at sunset, which unfortunately is 8:15 in the evening. So you don't have dinner until after 8:15. But they break the fast by having a date and a glass of water, and then they have a dinner. And it was very, very moving. I got the impression that the Muslims in the area want to reach out, make sure that we understand that what we hear on the news every day does not represent the vast majority of Muslims. And it was very well received. I had the opportunity to sit next to Pastor Rick Warren, who was there, and he disclosed to me that he was a resident of Laguna Niguel for 12 years. So I asked him if he knew about the city. He says, yeah, I've been there. I used to live there. So he used to live in Laguna Niguel. So that was a great event. We'll go on to city manager reports, staff reports. Anybody want to say anything? Good. 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 Oh, come on.
Well, I can't let the 4th of July go by and not share a little information. So I had the honor of being the duty officer that day, so it was a little bit of a busy day. Just to kind of put it in perspective, we had 3 working house fires, 1 vegetation fire. Throughout the day, we had 3 drownings, 5 other small vegetation fires, 4 other structure responses, 17 tree fires, and 11 dumpster fires. I'm pleased to report none of those were in the city of Laguna Niguel. That was all in the western end, northern end of the county for the most part, where they allow fireworks. So again, I applaud the city for maintaining their ban on safe and sane fireworks, because there is no such thing. and keeping your residents safe. So thank you very much on behalf of the fire department.
Well, we thank you for what you're doing for our city. Ms. Colvin.
I'll just make it real quick. I want to thank Mayor McCluskey for his role in the State of the City address. He is being a little modest. He made it quite simple for us to shoot it, and we had a lot of fun. The second thing I want to brief you on is, in the last 4 hours, I posted some photographs of the spray ground and the 2 new playgrounds on our Facebook and our Twitter account. So far, the Facebook account, the post has reached 832 people. We've had 37 page likes since yesterday, which is small, but for us is significant, in addition to what we already have. And then we've had people comment on the splash pad, and some of the comments have been, wow, awesome, what time does it open at, so fun, and the like. So it's getting out there, people are loving it, and you know, Alison, I think your people are going to be very, very busy over the summer. That's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, moving down the line. Passer, you have anything to say? When are you going to get the streets all fixed? Okay.
Just very quickly, Mayor.
City Manager.
And I appreciate the opportunity. I'll just be very quick. You know, I was out at the splash pad today, and you know, it's like buying a new house. There's things you're going to have to fine tune. So we're working on a couple of things, and John Redinger, I believe is his name, who Mr. Slisowitz spoke from Wallace and Associates. That guy's been on top of it, and I'll tell you, he'd be a wonderful addition to any staff, because he's one heck of a project manager, construction manager, and I wouldn't think twice about contracting with their firm to build just about anything, either personally for myself or a public project. He's done a great job. I was talking to one of the moms that was out there with one of her kids, and I can't remember her first name, but when I introduced myself, she says, well, you might know my dad, Doug LaBelle. Doug LaBelle was the former city manager of Chino Hills. He came out of Signal Hill. He was in Chino Hills when I was in Chino. And his daughter lives in Aliso Viejo. He lives now retired in Costa Mesa. But she said this is the best thing here in South Orange County, that there's in addition to our website, there's a South Orange County Mom's website, and these pictures are splattered all over the place. So she was really excited about it. And what I thought her best comment is that people can't believe that we're not charging for people to come in and actually take advantage of it. So it's a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful thing we're doing for the community. And I've talked about with the council and with our staff about finitiative, and that term being the combination of the word finish and initiative. We're practicing finitiative because we're finishing what we started, and we prove it here. And I shared the pictures with former Mayor Ming and with former Mayor Lindholm, because as we know, I think this is where this project started, and this council is where it finishes. So there's definitely finitiative. And I know that Robert's kids had a great time at the 4th of July. I heard from Robert, they didn't want to leave. Linda once told me, can you imagine that on a hot summer day, the kids were going to have the smiles we're going to have? So I was sharing those pictures with her, and she just wanted me to share as well her thanks to the council for delivering on this Tier 1. But as we know, the work's not done. We're going to move on with Tier 2, and then we're going to move on with Tier 3. So we're going to have a lot of exciting work, a lot of exciting construction here over the next 5 to 10 years. And it's just wonderful to be able to say it's all because of your staff. And I give it all to them. They understand finitiative. They're up to the task, and we're up to the next tasks that are for us. Thank you, Council.
Thank you, Mr. City Manager. Is there any other comments for the good of the city?